what's going on, everybody? This is John Donadio, a.k.a. Some Beardy to Love, and welcome to a brand new episode of Classically Trained. We are still on our road to Infinity War, and we are the last week of Infinity War, actually, because it comes out this weekend. So this is the big last hurrah that we have for this. And I have a very special guest here with me today to celebrate this, because he's super pumped for it.
Yeah.
And that is my friend Steve Strangio. What's going on, Steve?
Hello, how are you?
How are you, man?
John Donadio. Donadio.
What is going on?
Donadio. How you been?
I know, so some of you have actually seen Steve already here on the Be Terrific Networks. He was at Big Apple Comic Con.
Yeah.
And we got to do a little interview.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, it was, you know what, it was a full long day, but I was glad to see you there, because it's like that familiar, face.
Yeah, I was kind of like your oasis.
Yeah.
You know, it's some guy you could just talk to and not have to worry about it. You know? It's like, tell me more about your stuff. Like some of the, I've been in interviews myself, where it's like, so tell me more about what you do. I do things.
Yeah. And you really have to pull it from them.
Yeah,
so
it's like taffy.
Yeah, we had a couple of guests like that, where it was like, oh God, all right, I guess I'm conducting this then.
I guess I'll just talk to myself while you nod at me. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so Steve, you do a number of things. It's not even like
75.
Yeah. So like, I didn't bring him in here just for his comic knowledge. I brought him in here because he does a plethora of extracurricular activities. You have the Steve Strangio Show.
Strangio Show, yeah.
Yeah, the Strangio Show. I say Strangio.
Well, we talked about it. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, no, we dabbled a little bit at Big Apple Comic Con, but that was like a nickname, and then you just kind of ran with it.
When I first started doing stand-up comedy,
right.
I mean, my real name is Strangio.
Right.
In Italian, it's Strangio. You know, and we said it means stranger in a strange land. I actually looked it up.
That's awesome. Which is a great book, by the way, if you've never read it.
Science fiction. Yeah. Kids like the science fiction.
Yeah.
And when I was doing comedy, they kept calling me Strangio. You could bring me up as Steve Strangio. And at first I was like, how dare you? That is my name.
Right, yeah.
I shall fight you. But then I was like, yeah, it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, so I answer to both.
Dr. Strangio.
Well, my name is Steven, so it's like Steven Strangio. My geek friends' heads exploded when Doctor Strange came out.
Right,
you know, so all I got to do is go to medical school, become a doctor, and I'm set for life.
It,
you know.
Oh, you don't even have to do like real medical stuff. He was a real medical doctor. Then kind of became the doctor of the mystic arts, I guess.
Yeah, that's quite. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're using our fake names now. I'm Spider-Man. It's Infinity War, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, in case you haven't seen it, it's out next week.
Yeah.
So the Strangio Show is what? Because it's not. I mean, this is only the one of many things that you do. So let's go through the gambit.
Well, Strangio Show began at a place called Madhouse TV, which was on Long Island, was a streaming network. You know, many years ago, actually. Right. For me, I kept saying it was 40 pounds ago, because I was a lot heavier back then. I was like 275 pounds, and
I know that.
Yeah, so you hold it well, my friend.
Thank you.
You hold it well. So it was like me. Standing, a lot of the other shows, people were sitting like we are now. Right. But as you can see, I'm very animated. You know, and I started as a stand-up comedian. So I said, just there's a brick wall. Put me in front of the brick wall. Yeah. And they said, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, I'm going to introduce everything I've ever done ever. Right. So I've had like short films, I've had plays, I've had travel videos, I've had all this like quirky little stuff. And I figured I would just stand there, do bits in between, and introduce the video. Right. And that was my show. Okay. And I got like 11 shows out of that. Yeah. And then it just kind of, the contract was up, and then we kind of moved on. Right. So that was the Strangio Show. That's where it began. Then I kind of transitioned that into doing podcasting. Right. Because I've been doing podcasting since like 2005. Yeah. And I was doing,
like really started.
I was doing podcasting when nobody knew how the hell to listen to a podcast. Yeah. I tell people, it's like, well, I do a podcast. Well, what the hell is that?
Yeah, what is that?
Well, it's a radio show. They go, well, what station are you on? I go, well, no, it's not really on a station.
On the internet.
It's on the internet. He goes, I got to sit at my computer and listen. I'm like, oh, it's just...
Stop asking questions.
Why just go here and listen? So we did that until like 2009, but then the show kind of imploded because we had 4 very unique personalities. And, money wasn't being made. Whatever happened. We had a good run. But then as soon as we quit, the podcast app was invented, and boom. And I'm like, oh, son of.
Yeah.
So I had to, you know.
But now everyone's got. I have one.
Which is good. I think honestly, I think it's great that people have podcasts because now they can express themselves creatively.
Yeah.
You know. So I just continued doing podcasting, and the Strangio show now is really kind of just I took audio versions of what I did on the show.
Okay.
You know, and stripped it, and then sometimes I'll just talk, you know, just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
You know. So I got the podcast, The Strangio Show, and that led to other podcasts.
Right.
I'm doing one
you
called...
have one that I adore, which is, what's it called again?
Drunken Rebels.
Drunken Rebels. Okay, and the idea is what? Just pop culture news and...
A guy named Bill Madigan, and George Berger. It's their show, really.
Right.
You know, and they invited me on the show.
Okay.
You know, so they're in Long Island.
Okay.
And I Skype in from New Jersey because I'm living in New Jersey right
Which,
now.
The great thing about podcasts, for those that don't know how it works, is that you can literally record from anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And you just kind of throw it all in and it all sounds good.
Yeah.
That's the magic of podcasts.
Yeah. And I had taken a break from podcasts, and they were like, well, do you want to be on the show? I'm like, yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
So basically the premise is we sit there and we talk about geek culture.
Right.
Or just whatever strikes our fancy.
Right.
While drinking whiskey. And even, you know, George is a whiskey. And it's like by the end of the show, we're like, you got no. I'll tell you who's better.
Hulk strongest
shot, boom. So it's
I can
funny.
imagine just abysmal conversation by the end of it. You're just like, I'm drunk and I don't even know what to say anymore.
We did a show one time where the host of the show drank so much whiskey he blacked out and didn't remember the last 20 minutes of the show. And he was the editor. He was like, "Did I do this?
God.
Is this mine? And that was hysterical. And
That's
like
amazing.
George is we call him a whiskamalia because he knows his whiskey.
Right,
he is straight up amazing. And
That's my buddy
drop.
Dave. My buddy Dave knows his bourbon.
Right,
like
man.
you could blindfold him and taste test, and he could probably tell you what it is.
Yeah. And like he'll drop like $100, you know, on whiskey.
Yeah.
On a bottle, and I'm like, I can't do that.
No. $20, here you go.
I'll drink it, but yeah. But like they're doing all the drinking, and I'm at, you know, New Jersey with a beer.
Right.
So
Of course.
Occasionally I'll have whiskey.
Well, they don't know that, right? That's,
yeah, I'll drink. What the hell?
So I have a podcast called Party Up, and it's kind of the same thing. It's very much pop culture stuff. We did a full run through of a B movie this last week.
Oh, sweet.
It's called Zombies, which is a zombie movie at the zoo.
I've heard of this.
It's awful, but it's a lot of fun. We were cracking up. So I feel like the the podcast is like 90% of us just laughing and trying to get out what we're trying to say because it's such a bad movie. But it was a lot of fun to talk about.
Have you done Samurai Cop yet?
No, I wish.
I was watching that today.
It's such a great movie.
I was watching Samurai Cop, and then like I couldn't get through it, so I switched over to the Riff Tracks version, just so I could laugh along with it.
Yeah.
There's 2 sequels to that movie.
Yeah. Well, there's Hollywood Cop, and that was actually beforehand.
Okay.
So it's Hollywood Cop, Killing American Style, Samurai Cop.
Yeah.
Then he did another movie. I forget his name, Amir or something.
Yeah.
He did another one called Gypsy.
Okay.
And there's another one, I don't remember what it's called.
So there is a Samurai Cop 2.
Yes,
I did research.
But it's not the same guy, I don't think.
Is it somebody different?
Yeah, it's somebody different. It's
now they made a Samurai Cop
worse
3. It's like The Revenge.
Oh, really?
And Tommy Wiseau's in it.
Oh, no.
So it's like the guy from The Room and the guy from Samurai Cop trying to outact each other. I literally had to leave to come here to do the show.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get back to watch that movie.
That's really
because
funny.
It's going to be insane.
That's hysterical. I would love to do like a B movie type of thing because they're so much fun to watch and they're so ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
You could literally laugh for hours if you have the right company. If you don't, like, people are like, what am I watching?
Well, I used to do a show. I did a live show in an art gallery, believe it or not.
That's cool.
It's called Ripe Art Gallery. It's out in Long Island. There's a woman named Sherry, who's actually a very good friend of mine. And it was called the Stop and Start Movie. So what I would do is we play like Night of the Living Dead. And then I'd have an expert with me.
Right.
And then we would, instead of like making fun of the movie, we would do commentary during the movie.
Right.
And every so often we'd stop the movie and then talk about what the hell's going on up there.
Yeah.
And then occasionally make jokes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But it was a live experience and
That's
it was fun.
cool. I like that a lot.
You know, that could be pretty cool. They could do like a trend. We could do that.
Yeah,
There's
that
a
would
lot
be
of
fun.
there's a lot of films out there we could just talk about. You know?
There's a lot of stuff, especially in the creative side, and I think it's something that you've taken to like extreme extents. You've done everything from the you've done all the audio and video, and then you've also brought it to where fat guys like me probably wouldn't do a lot, but you invented. Thank you, hefty.
Hefty's a good word.
Right? Yeah. The big boned men of the nerd culture probably wouldn't do, and you invented a sport.
I invented a sport.
You invented a sport called Zoneball.
Zoneball.
Yeah. Now, Zoneball. Okay, so let's break down Zoneball in a few short sentences. We're gonna play a clip of Zoneball. While
it's playing right now.
Yeah, while we talk.
Yeah.
So you guys can kind of experience it, and Steve can kind of talk about it at the same time. Is it always indoors? Let's start with that.
You can play it outdoors, indoors. You can play it on the beach. You could play it in your bathroom. Whatever the hell you want to play, you can play it. See that goal there? The goal is in the center, and the goal is 2 backboards making an A-frame, and there are holes on both sides.
So it's like, it's not like okay. So you're. I'm so flustered because it's such a it's a lot. So okay, so you have the A-frame in the middle, and you have teams on both. Like you interspersed teams on sides, right?
Yeah, think of it as like half-court basketball on a full court.
Okay.
You know, it's like European handball meets basketball. And the thing is, you pass the ball. Now, I have 2 versions. You can do a throw-and-catch version.
Right.
And then you could do a catch-and-release version.
Right.
So a throw-and-catch version, and a dribbling version as well. Because not a lot of people know how to dribble.
Yeah.
You know, and they get really nervous about dribbling. So then let's do a version where you throw it, you catch it. Much like Ultimate Frisbee, when you have the ball, you got to stay there. And instead of somebody getting all up in your face, they leave you alone.
Okay.
And you can pass the ball to wherever you want to pass it. Now, the thing is, when you're on offense, you have the offensive drive. Now, there I am, and then I throw the ball all the way over them to start them. Okay. So that team is now on offense. And as they're passing the ball, the team on defense has to capture the ball and take it back to either outside line.
Okay.
So that's how there's the ebb and the flow.
So you have to go out like you would play like a pickup basketball game, half court. Okay.
Right. You know, instead of like just going all over the place and hoping for the best, you have to create structure.
What stops for like the outside people here just taking a shot?
Well, I mean,
do you want to get as close as possible to make sure you get it in?
Yeah, you just cannot enter the center zone. That's the whole thing. The center zone's a no person. We can't say no man's land because we live in an inclusion world. Right. So it's a no person zone. So they have to take a shot, and then like if they take a shot and it doesn't work and the other team gets it, they got to take it back to the outside line. Okay. So there's an ebb and the flow. You just can't keep shooting on goal and hoping for the best.
And hoping that someone will, kind of take it out.
So this was just created for, like you said, for inclusion for everybody, because like people, men and women can play at the same time because it's non-contact. Right. It's not. I mean, there is some running, but there's constant substitution. Yeah. So if you get really super tired, you got to take a break. Just tag out, let somebody come back in again.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And you have I'd say about 5 players on the court, and then 3 to 5 players in substitution. Okay. Yeah. That's good. It kind of gives a good rotation. Yeah, and you can play on foot. You could play on skates. That might be fun. You could play on the beach. I came very close. I mean, I did one demo for wheelchair athletes. Okay. And I was talking to the Wounded Warrior Project to get something done, so we're still kind of talking about that. That's cool. And I'm a big fan of wheelchair athletes. Yeah. And I actually want to create a sport specifically for wheelchair athletes. That's awesome. I think they're absolutely amazing. That's cool. That's super noble, too. I like that. Yeah. It's like a fascinating game to like sit and watch, because it's, where can people like watch games? Like I know that you are probably looking for that as well. Like where? I'm currently talking to an owner of a sports complex to make a home base. Okay. He's building a new sports complex right now, and I have this great idea, and I'm going to pitch it here. What the hell? Because I want to make it happen. Yeah, go for it. I would love to. There's so many sports teams out there, social sports teams. Playing, basketball and then dodgeball and kickball, and that's what the social sports is a big thing right now. Like a beer league. A beer league. Yeah. Okay. All right. Or just like you hang out with your friends, you get some exercise, you play a game, no matter what it is. Kickball, dodgeball, whatever it is. Ultimate Frisbee, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly, that type of stuff. Okay. And I'd say there's so many teams out there. I will invite 2 teams to come to this one location and play Zoneball. Okay. And then we could possibly get some cameras down there and make it an actual, almost like a game show in a way. That would be kind of cool. So it's like, go out there. I mean, either you have a team and you want to challenge another team, or we bring one team in and just have people come in and play whatever they want to. Maybe they have like a grudge match. We can actually call it grudge match. That's a great idea. That is actually. We'll call it grudge match, and it's like they have to actually challenge another team to come down.
That's cool, like
and then
wrestling
play.
almost. Like you have to, like,
that'd be great too.
You have to have like the go, oh come on brother, like.
One of the ideas I had was to create.
Julie USA says that looks like a fun for wheelchair athletics.
Well, thank you, Julie. Yeah, I would absolutely love to find any wheelchair league that wants a brand new sport, because this sport's good for them, because it does create an ebb and a flow. I've seen wheelchair basketball.
Right, the ebb and flow, the non-contact, the
constant motion.
That no-person zone is kind of cool. Like, yeah, I like that a lot.
So I would love to, do that, and then have people just go against each other and just have a damn good time. And I want to invent something called a team screamer.
Okay.
Which is not really a cheerleader. It's just somebody going, "We're gonna get you. We're gonna find you. We're gonna win."
Team screamer.
And their only job is to intimidate the other team.
Right. Yeah. I like that a lot.
So so that's Zoneball.
Gives it that basketball feel, if they could just yell out stuff.
Man, when basketball came out, I was like, dude, that's gonna be my life.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen to me.
We're gonna make this real.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, so this is Zoneball. You've been watching some things there. Steve kind of watching the game go.
And Zoneball actually,
I like that it's it's a gender neutral game. Like men and women can play together.
I want that to happen, because there are so many. We need to get that common ground. And we need to get some kind of sport that men and women can play at the same. And then now women are playing more. They're
right, but it's their own
it.
league, so it almost feels like they're segregated anyway. But putting them together, having shows that men and women can do exactly the same thing.
And I do love, like, on the teen leagues, or even like the grade school leagues, there are girls playing with the boys, and I like that they get in there. So, but what if there was like a brand new sport where it was built in that men and women can play?
I think we
need
a brand new sport, because baseball is boring as hell. Football is fun, but is kind of violent, I guess.
Well, I learned something.
Soccer is also boring. Sorry.
Well, it depends on where you're from.
That is true. That really does depend on where you're from.
I played soccer my entire life, but like sometimes I can watch a game, sometimes I can't. I love the British League. Because of the English Premier League, because they charge hard. They go in. It's constant motion. But there are some leagues where they're just kind of like passing the ball.
It's weird. Like, I was only 25 10 years ago, and that makes me feel like, you know, I already feel like I'm not. I know I'm not old in the sense of old or whatever, but you know, whatever that new standard is. But I also like when I think of some of the technology that's come and gone and where we are now. I am old.
Well, VR is the next big step.
Yes, but it's in one of those early stages, like the way when N64 was the new 3D, and it was crap. You know what I mean? Like for most of their games, it was garbage. Don't even try to argue with me.
Don't. It'll hurt you. I've seen it happen.
And so like VR is that new N64 step. It's that new step where we go, okay, this is looking kind of cool. It's not quite there yet, but it's making its way. Some games are fantastic. They look great. They feel great. The horror games are amazing in VR. If you really want to crap your pants, you play a VR horror game.
Do I want to do that?
I don't know. Sometimes people are into it. Don't kink shame.
It's a fetish. Don't kink shame. I think we found a new show.
Don't kink shame.
Kink shaming with John.
See, Vox says if by amazing you mean horrifying. Yes, I do mean horrifying.
Yeah, there you go.
It is probably the most immersive thing that you can do.
I'm still laughing at kink shaming. I love that.
We had followers blink on and off through that whole kink shaming thing. They were like, "What the hell did we just pick? What did we just pick up?"
Video games for me were a little hard because I was a gamer. I'm like an OG gamer. I was a gamer when arcades were big. I would go to the arcade. I'd drop the quarters. I was like that. And then when it transitioned, I showed you. Like I actually sent him a picture of something of a game, like a Telstar game, you know, from like the late '70s, you know. And that's when I stopped gaming, because my imagination was too big for the games.
Right.
But now it's caught up with my imagination. You know, so I think now I'm primed to go back into the world and play. One thing you don't know about me, which I don't think I ever told you about, is that I wrote an interactive film.
Really?
Interactive film. It was like back in the early '90s, they had this thing called Interfilm, and it was a choose your path movie.
That's cool.
So you know the choose your path books were like, you know, go to page 72.
Right.
Do I jump out the window? Do I punch the pigeon in the face? You know, whatever it is. Don't punch pigeons in the face, kid.
Yeah.
And you know, they took that idea.
I didn't take my finger off the page. You saw Lois.
You saw Lois. Family Guy reference. So the thing was that this guy named Bob Jean was the main guy. He made a film called I'm Your Man.
Okay.
And it's a 20-minute film, but every 20 minutes every 2 minutes rather, you're offered three or four choice points.
Right.
So do I jump out the window? Do I stay in the room? Do I go after the person?
That's cool.
So these movies exist. They were actually released in movie theaters.
Really?
And they had pistol grips, and the audience would vote, and then whatever happens, they would go to that thing. So this is like the early '90s. But now, flash forward, the technology digitally exists for these movies to exist.
Right.
I have an unproduced screenplay.
Wow.
Called Disco Zombie Bash.
That's awesome.
Beetlejuice meets Saturday Night Fever. And you're trapped with this group of kids, Guido zombies, and bikers.
Oh my God.
And you have to get out of this mansion because the dead have risen from a disco zombie record that was released.
Yeah. Can you tell he's a Bruce Campbell fan? Like,
yeah,
that's
big time. This is the movie Bruce Campbell should be in. So about 5 or 6 of these interactive movies exist in the world. I helped write the second one. It was called Ride for Your Life. Adam West is in it.
Really?
And it's all about bicycle messengers racing through Manhattan. Adam West. Bicycle messengers racing through Manhattan because aliens have deemed if they don't win, they're going to blow up the world. And Adam West is an alien. So I'm wondering if we can actually play that on this show.
That would be cool.
We'd have to get the rights to see if we can air that.
Yeah.
And then maybe...
I wonder who you have to talk to for that now, since you were a part of it.
I would, you know, I was there.
Yeah.
I was there for the creation, and like the guy who invented the medium taught me how to write interactive films.
Yeah.
And I still have this unproduced screenplay.
Oh man.
So imagine now making an interactive film.
That would be kind of cool.
And imagine like following the progress.
Yeah.
And then playing it on this show. Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
That would be kind of cool.
So anyway, so I'm an OG gamer from way back then.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Steve, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you having me.
I appreciate it.
Coming on
This was a fun time. I love
Good,
this.
I'm glad you had some fun.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Let's give the audience the run through in case we missed anything if they weren't here before. Where can they find all your shenanigans? List them all off. Go for it. I'll give you the cam.
My main website is SteveStrangioProductions.com.
Spell it out for them.
So Strangio is Strangio.
There it is.
Strangio.
Right
SteveStrangioProductions.com. I'm also on Patreon, so it's patreon.com and then just Steve Strangier Productions.
Okay.
So on Patreon, I kind of upload all my stuff. Zoneball is a sport that I created, so it's zoneballsport.com, and that's also zoneballsportuk.com as well.
Okay. Vox says come back sometime. You're awesome.
Thank you, Vox. I thank you for your help.
I agree.
Much appreciated.
He's definitely. You're always welcome back.
Sorry.
I was just going to say something.
This part where we pray?
Yeah, this is where we play to the video games for giving us all the entertainment that we need and keep bringing them more. We're not doing that anyway.
Look, I am.
Yeah. Play it anyway, guys. Thanks for coming by and hanging with us. Stay classic.